Hey guys, I just want to say it has been a very intense couple weeks. I don't know if any of you have been feeling that, but let me tell you, it completely inspired this next topic of ego and heart space and what living from your ego means versus what living from your heart space means. And when I say heart space, all I mean is living from your soul. So I found myself in the last couple weeks coming up against some old patterns and old versions of me that I thought I had long ago let go of. And that's the funny thing about the universe is that when you decide who you are and you decide what living from your heart space means and you start discovering that, the universe likes to send you tests and likes to basically get you to either move forward on your word or to fall back into old patterns. So of course, it doesn't pass me by like anyone else, and I got stuck in an ego loop, and it took moving past it with or through other people bringing it up for me that I saw, oh my goodness, this is an ego pattern that I've had. What? Thank you, universe, for bringing it up for me because I am ready to let go and live from my heart space. And so that's the topic today, ego. Now, I'm going to talk about ego from a spiritual stance. I know that we have, the psychological term ego, and I completely love science and spiritual stuff. The more they merge, the more like my little nerd stuff, my little nerd brain is like, oh my gosh, right? But for this video, I'm specifically going to talk about the spiritual side of ego. So, what does that mean? Well, ego means life is happening to me instead of for me. When life happens for me, that means I'm living from my heart space. But when it happens to me, I get stuck in that negative loop. I get stuck in that, why is this happening to me? What is wrong with me? I don't understand why everything is just going wrong all the time. You just get stuck in that negative mentality. And sometimes it's not even negative, but it's just like a heavy feeling. You just get stuck in that why mode. Whereas living from your heart space is life is happening for me. So in the moments that you come across something difficult or an old pattern or an old person or an old version of you, you think, this is happening for me. What is this teaching me? What am I going to learn from this? And that ends up giving you so much more. And it ends up showing you how far you've really come. And so, another thing about living from ego is looking outside of ourselves for validation, for material things, for basically everything. We look outside. Now, living from the heart space is looking within and finding that knowing that you have everything within. And so, why I'm talking about that is what had come up for me was this thing surrounding goals. And we all know what goals are. We all get asked, what are your goals? Where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years, 20, whatever, right? Well, because of that, I figured out that I was still stuck in this pattern that I thought I had let go of, that I thought wasn't even in my consciousness anymore. But guess what? I got stuck in that. And why I'm bringing it up surrounding goals is I don't attach to how things are coming to me or when they come to me or what it'll look like. What I do is I know how I'm going to feel in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, but I don't care about how it gets to me, when it gets to me, that kind of thing. So with the whole goals thing, I was very specific in certain timelines, time frames, I should say. I was being specific, but that goes against everything that I actually believe in. I don't believe in like how it'll come to me or when it'll come to me. So why did I have a time frame? And it was because of that topic being brought up that I was able to see I was still stuck in ego. I was still living from, I'm looking outside of myself to fulfill this for me. Not that I have a knowing that all of this will come to me and I know how that's going to feel, yet I don't need to control how any of that comes to me. And that is when the moment I realized, oh my gosh, I'm still living from ego in this certain way. And I know we've all been there. I know we've all sat there and been like, I don't believe in this, I don't believe in that, and blah, blah, blah. And yet there's still subconscious like ways, or not subconscious, I'm sorry, unconscious ways that we go ahead and repeat those patterns. And sometimes we don't even know it. Like for me, it took a week and a half for me to realize, oh my gosh, this is happening. But what I'm here to tell you is that you can live from the heart space. It takes work. You're not always going to do it 100% of the time. But I can tell you that the more you practice and the more you open up and get to know yourself is when your heart space will fully come online. And in the moments that you get challenged, because the universe loves to challenge us, you'll choose differently. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to find our soul. Because understanding ourselves and living and loving ourselves means that we are fulfilled within. We're not looking outside of us, which is our ego. We're looking within. What do we need? And we communicate that because we know what we need. And sometimes we don't. Sometimes we think we know what we need, and then when we ask, that's not what we need, right? But what I'm trying to say is that when we go around searching or looking outside of what we know to be true, or we start asking other people, or we start reading a bunch of books and start looking for the answers outside of ourselves, although those tools can help, but we don't consult with our inner and internal world first, then that's living from the ego. But if we use all those tools and we tune into what our heart is saying and what our soul is saying, because they're the same thing, then we live from our heart space. Because we know that no matter what that other stuff says, whether it agrees with us, whether it doesn't, we made the decision internally. We know what's best for us. And that might look different than what everyone else is doing. I can't even tell you how many times I've been on this journey and I'm sitting here like, am I actually on the right path? Like, it doesn't look anything like anyone else that I've seen. It doesn't look like anything else. And yet I have to know, and I have to remind myself that it's not supposed to look like anyone else. Because I know that it feels right. And that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what the outer stuff says because I am looking within. I feel abundant. Our ego likes to tell us that we're not abundant, that in fact we're fearful of everything else. Whereas our heart space tells us that we have everything we need, we're abundant. We are love. That's what our heart space is. We're love. We're not fear, we're love. And so if you find yourself going back and forth between ego and the heart space, just know you're not alone. I do it too. And in those moments, I just have to have appreciation because it could be, I could be in the same spot that I was. And that is more scary to me than anything. So I hope you have a beautiful evening or day or morning, wherever you're at. I'll see you next time.